In the year 2147, humanity faced its greatest threat. Alien forces descended upon Earth, their motives unknown, their power unmatched. Cities burned, billions perished. But amidst the chaos, a spark of resistance ignited. One soldier will change everything. This is the story of how humanity fought back against impossible odds. The line between victory and extinction has never been thinner. Experience the epic battle for survival. Subscribe now to witness the ultimate showdown between humans and aliens. The first contact wasn't supposed to happen like this. Lieutenant Sarah Chun stared through her visor at the alien craft descending through Earth's atmosphere, its surface shimmering like liquid metal under the sun's rays. The United Earth Defense Command had detected the vessel weeks ago, but diplomatic protocols were quickly abandoned when it ignored all attempts at communication. Now, standing on the outskirts of New Chicago, she watched as the massive ship unleashed smaller attack pods that scattered across the city like deadly seeds. The air crackled with energy as the alien technology disrupted Earth's systems, plunging the metropolis into darkness save for the eerie glow of their vessels. Around her, soldiers scrambled to establish defensive positions, their faces masks of determination mixed with fear. Through her neural implant, tactical data streamed constantly: enemy movements, casualty reports, weapon status. Painted a grim picture. The aliens hadn't just come to conquer, they'd come to exterminate. The initial assault caught them completely off guard. Sarah dove behind a concrete barrier as a burst of alien plasma seared the air where she'd stood moments before. Her enhanced reflexes, courtesy of the military's latest bio-augmentation program, were the only thing keeping her alive. Around her, soldiers fell in waves under the relentless attack. These creatures moved with impossible speed, their chitinous exoskeletons deflecting most conventional weapons. Their forms were disturbingly organic yet mechanical, limbs terminating in razor-sharp appendages that could slice through steel-reinforced walls. Worst of all was their intelligence. They adapted to every tactic almost instantly. "Command, we need reinforcements," she shouted into her comm, but static was her only response. The aliens had somehow jammed all communications beyond short-range frequencies. As she reloaded her modified railgun, Sarah noticed something peculiar about their movements patterns emerging in what initially seemed chaotic attacks. There might be a weakness here, if she could just figure it out in time. Through the chaos, Sarah spotted Captain Ramirez signaling from a nearby position. His face was streaked with soot, but his eyes burned with determination. "Chun, we've got a problem," he yelled over the din of battle. "Their main force isn't attacking randomly. They're searching for something." He pulled up a holographic map on his wrist console, highlighting several key locations throughout the city. Research facilities, data centers, ancient archaeological sites, all being targeted simultaneously. The realization hit Sarah like a physical blow. These weren't mindless invaders. They were after Earth's knowledge. Every piece of advanced human technology, every historical record, every scientific discovery. The aliens wanted it all. "They're not here to destroy us," she muttered. "They're here to harvest our civilization." Ramirez nodded grimly. "Which means if we lose this fight, we lose everything that makes us human." A fresh wave of attackers forced them back to cover, but Sarah's mind raced. If they could protect even one repository of human knowledge. The tide of battle shifted abruptly when the aliens deployed their heavy units. Towering biomechanical constructs emerged from the larger landing pods, each one bristling with weapons and surrounded by swarms of smaller drones. Sarah watched in horror as these behemoths reduced entire blocks to rubble with casual indifference. Yet amidst the destruction, she noticed something crucial. The larger units moved more slowly, their actions less coordinated than the smaller attackers. Perhaps their advanced AI couldn't process multiple threats as efficiently. "Team Delta, focus fire on those big ones," she commanded, switching her weapon to an experimental EMP setting. The pulse struck true, causing the nearest construct to stumble momentarily. Seizing the opportunity, her squad concentrated their firepower on its exposed joints. With a deafening crash, the massive creature collapsed, crushing several smaller aliens beneath its bulk. The success came at a cost. Half her team lay wounded or worse, but they'd found a vulnerability. Now they just needed to exploit it at scale. As night fell, turning the battlefield into a surreal landscape of flickering fires and alien luminescence, Sarah received an encrypted message from HQ. Somehow, a few satellites remained operational, providing critical intel. The transmission revealed that similar invasions were happening worldwide, but with varying degrees of success. In Siberia, Russian forces had managed to disable several alien vessels using modified nuclear warheads. The key was their electromagnetic shielding, incredibly strong, yet susceptible to specific frequency patterns. "We need to adapt our weapons," Sarah told her remaining squad members. Working with their tech specialist, Private Morris, they began modifying their equipment on the fly. The process was risky, potentially damaging their gear permanently, but they had no choice. Time and again, history showed that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to innovate under pressure. As they worked, Sarah couldn't help but notice how the aliens reacted to their modifications. Slight hesitations, momentary confusion. They were learning about us, just as we were learning about them. The breakthrough came during a desperate retreat through the city's underground tunnels. Pursued by alien hunters that could track them through walls, Sarah's team stumbled upon an unexpected ally, Dr. Elena Vasquez, a xenobiologist who had been studying ancient extraterrestrial artifacts. "I've seen their kind before," she explained breathlessly while helping them modify their weapons. "Not exactly, but similar. Thousands of years ago, pieces of their technology appeared on Earth, influencing our development. They're called the Crithari." Her revelation changed everything. These weren't random invaders. They were returning to reclaim what they considered theirs. More disturbingly, many of Earth's greatest technological leaps hadn't been purely human achievements. "That's why they're targeting our knowledge centers," Sarah realized. "They want to erase any trace of their influence." The implications were staggering, but also provided a potential strategy. If they could prove to the Crithari that humanity had evolved beyond their initial contributions. Armed with this new understanding, Sarah led her team to a secure research facility housing some of humanity's most advanced AI systems. Here, in the heart of the city, scientists had been working on quantum computing breakthroughs that could rival anything the Crithari possessed. As they fought their way through increasingly aggressive alien forces, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being herded toward this location. The realization crystallized when they reached the facility's main server room. The aliens wanted to assimilate Earth's technological advancements, not just destroy them. "They're scared," Dr. Vasquez whispered, analyzing the creature's behavior patterns. "Scared of what we've become." This insight gave Sarah an idea both brilliant and terrifying. If they could upload a specially designed virus through the facility's quantum network, they might be able to infect the Crithari's collective consciousness. The risk was enormous, potentially destroying Earth's digital infrastructure in the process. But the alternative was extinction. Implementing the plan required holding the facility against overwhelming odds. Wave after wave of Crithari warriors assaulted their position, forcing Sarah and her team to fight with desperate ingenuity. They used the building's automated systems against the invaders, triggering fire suppression systems to create steam clouds that confused the alien sensors, collapsing sections of the structure to create new defensive positions. Each victory bought precious minutes for the technical team to complete the virus upload. Through her neural link, Sarah monitored the progress while coordinating defenses. The strain was immense, her augmented systems pushing past safe operational limits, but she refused to yield. Outside, the city burned brighter than ever, the aliens seemingly redoubling their efforts to reach the facility. In these moments of chaos, Sarah understood something fundamental. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving that humanity deserved to exist, to continue evolving, to forge its own path regardless of external influences. As the virus neared completion, the Crithari's tactics shifted dramatically. Instead of brute force assaults, they began deploying sophisticated countermeasures, electronic warfare systems that threatened to overwhelm Earth's defenses entirely. Sarah watched in growing alarm as their modified weapons started malfunctioning, their carefully constructed barriers falling apart. Even their neural implants began glitching, flooding their senses with disorienting feedback. "They're adapting faster than we can respond," Private Morris reported, his voice tight with tension. Then Dr. Vasquez made a startling observation. The Crithri weren't just countering their technology. They were learning from it in real time. Every adaptation humanity made was being absorbed and improved upon. The implications were chilling. These creatures weren't merely advanced. They were evolutionary apex predators, capable of assimilating and surpassing any challenge. Yet Sarah noticed something else. Their rapid evolution was creating instability within their ranks. The newer, more powerful units occasionally turned on their predecessors, suggesting internal conflict. The situation reached a critical point when the facility's power core began destabilizing from repeated alien attacks. Without stable power, the virus upload would fail, and with it their last chance at turning the tide. Sarah made a split-second decision that went against every protocol. She ordered her team to manually redirect power from the city's emergency systems to the facility. The consequences would be catastrophic, plunging millions into darkness and leaving them vulnerable to secondary attacks. But there was no other option. As the power surged through the facility's systems, the lights brightened to blinding intensity, temporarily disabling many of the Crithri attackers. In that brief window of opportunity, the virus upload completed. Across the battlefield, alien units froze in place, their previously fluid movements becoming jerky and uncoordinated. For the first time since the invasion began, hope flickered in the hearts of Earth's defenders. But Sarah knew better than to celebrate prematurely. Viruses could be countered, and the Crithri still held overwhelming numbers. The aftermath of the virus deployment revealed both triumph and tragedy. While many Crithri units were indeed compromised, others adapted frighteningly quickly, developing immunity to the digital assault. Worse, the virus seemed to have triggered some form of metamorphosis in the surviving aliens, their forms shifting into even more dangerous configurations. Yet amidst the chaos, Sarah observed a crucial detail. The affected units were broadcasting unusual signals, patterns that suggested confusion rather than hostility. She theorized that the virus had created a schism within the Crithri collective consciousness, dividing them against themselves. This internal conflict could be exploited, but it required a different approach. "We need to talk to them," she declared, much to her team's disbelief. Using captured alien communication devices and hastily assembled translation algorithms, they attempted to establish dialogue. The responses were fragmented, chaotic, but unmistakably intelligent. The Crithri were no longer a unified force. They had become factions, each pursuing different objectives. Negotiations proved as dangerous as combat. Through painstaking trial and error, Sarah's team established basic communication protocols with one faction of the Crithri, calling themselves the Dissidents. These aliens viewed the invasion as a mistake, believing that humanity's independent evolution represented something valuable, perhaps even threatening to their own rigid social order. The Dissidents offered crucial information about Crithri technology and weaknesses, but their assistance came at a price: protection from the more aggressive Orthodox faction. This created an unprecedented tactical situation, humans fighting alongside alien allies against other aliens. The battles became increasingly complex, with shifting alliances and betrayals occurring moment by moment. Sarah found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about warfare and survival. Trust became the most valuable currency, more precious than weapons or technology. Yet even as they made progress, she couldn't ignore the growing unease among her own people. How far were they willing to go to win? The turning point came during the Battle of Millennium Spire, where the combined human dissident forces faced the Orthodox faction's full might. The skyscraper served as both battleground and symbol, humanity's architectural achievement versus alien dominance. As they ascended floor by floor, Sarah witnessed scenes that would haunt her forever. Human soldiers sacrificing themselves to protect their alien allies, dissident Crithri defending wounded humans from their former comrades. The fighting reached a fever pitch on the observation deck, where the Orthodox leader confronted them, a massive entity whose very presence seemed to warp reality around it. Only through perfect coordination between human and dissident forces did they manage to defeat it, using a combination of Earth's modified weapons and dissident countermeasures. The creature's death caused a chain reaction among the Orthodox forces, their hierarchy collapsing without their leader. For the first time, victory seemed possible. But the cost had been astronomical, and the war was far from over. With the Orthodox faction weakened but not defeated, Sarah faced her greatest challenge yet, uniting humanity and the dissident Crithari into a single fighting force. This required overcoming centuries of ingrained distrust on both sides, addressing legitimate fears and concerns while maintaining operational effectiveness. She spent countless hours mediating disputes, explaining cultural differences, finding common ground between species. The process was agonizingly slow, especially with the Orthodox forces regrouping for a final assault. Yet gradually, something remarkable emerged: a hybrid culture, blending human adaptability with Crithari technological sophistication. New weapons systems were developed, combining Earth's manufacturing capabilities with dissident innovations. Tactical doctrines evolved, incorporating elements from both species' military traditions. Most importantly, a shared purpose developed, not just survival, but the creation of a future where both species could coexist and grow. As they prepared for the decisive battle, Sarah realized that this alliance represented something far greater than mere military necessity. The final confrontation took place above Earth's atmosphere, where the Orthodox faction had gathered their remaining forces for an orbital bombardment that would sterilize the planet's surface. Humanity's entire fleet, augmented by dissident ships and technology, engaged in a desperate defense of their homeworld. Sarah commanded from the bridge of the flagship Unity, a vessel symbolizing the newly forged alliance. The battle raged across space and atmosphere, with fighters weaving through debris fields and capital ships exchanging devastating broadsides. Through careful strategy and incredible bravery, they managed to breach the Orthodox formation, targeting their command vessel. In a moment of supreme sacrifice, the dissident leader rammed their ship into the enemy flagship, creating an opening for the human fleet to deliver the killing blow. As the Orthodox forces withdrew, their unity shattered, Sarah looked down at Earth, scarred but still beautiful. The war had changed everything, but it had also shown what was possible when different beings chose to work together instead of destroy each other. The future remained uncertain, but for the first time in months, it felt filled with potential rather than despair. Remember to subscribe for more epic tales of humanity's struggles and triumphs against impossible odds.